I know by its very name means that it points to something significant. It was noteworthy that the psychological conflicts of the mother still in pregnancy induce symptoms in the fetus. Moreover, these symptoms are open and demonstrable. What happens in the fetus? What's going on in the mother's belly? It is very easy. The child takes over the feelings of the mother and in connection with her mental conflicts itself produces symptoms. I feel the presence of the place where the concern was or the insult that my mother experienced. What is the tissue markers? The recognition is in fact melanoma, permanent melanoma. At the same time the pigment concentration. Let's look at the associated biological conflict and its course. In the normal case outside the fetal period, so when we are out of the belly of mum, this special program goes so. As a result of conflict, unpleasantness, insults, indecision or injury, the layer of skin thickens. This bold layer of skin is meant to protect us better. If the expectant mother is still disturbed, someone is hurting her or is she afflicted with it, and she is experiencing it as a hurt, then by this feeling it causes the appearance of the mark on the child. I have a good friend whose mother, when she became pregnant when she was very young, she lived in a very violent way as a shame and disappointment that she was pregnant at the age of 18. As a result, her baby was born with a large dark mark around the pupilles and labia. The recognition is really big. Thus the signs are nothing but the effect of the being pregnant mum conflicts that the fetus felt and took over. If one could achieve a state where the pregnant mother does not experience any pain, no one harms her, does not hurt, then you could make your baby born with smooth skin, no spots or marks. In adults the signs always appear as a result of conflicts. These are conflicts of feeling unpleasant. They are based on the same mechanism of thickening of the skin layer which disappears with the resolution of the conflict. Only in the event of a conflict in the fetus the mark is permanent. This is because any changes in the body structure that have occurred during the fetal period are for life. 30. The meaning of the existence of the fetus is that if Mother Nature has something in it, is causing us, is changing it, is already for the rest of our lives and permanently. Liver spots are a type of melanoma, Latin melanoma. We must still point out that we are talking about an adult non-pregnant person who is not old. About a person of puberty age. This person suffers from a psychological conflict that results in her skin becoming thickened. In the process of thickening, the skin pigment is also collected. And when the conflict breaks down, the thick layer of skin decomposes. Hepatic stains remain in place, which when exposed to the sun is more visible due to the greater pigment content. So they are so. Liver spots. I would not call a liver stain spot that appears and completely disappears. For example, when we are having pre-pregnancy problems, we have darkened the nipples. Or when the skin darkens in the place of the white, so-called white line in the middle of the body, pointing the newborn to the road to mother's breast. It also makes sense. The process of increased pigmentation means that in the concrete, the place where the conflict was experienced by the person concerned, it must have hurt her, she must feel humiliated. It must have been somehow plagued by the appearance of stains. The freckles are the mildest form of freckles. It is said that a person who has no freckles is a man who has never been humiliated before. So freckles are associated with humiliation. It causes them a conflict of shame and consternation. Also at that time there will be spots in someone like freckles, so-called hyperpigmentation, when he repeatedly overdressed his back too much. This is a case of frequent sunburn in a person who is spending too much time in the sun. The body in this way defends itself and prepares for the next time the burn was not so great. he locates in his presumed pigment spots. After all, this pigmentation gives you enormous protection against the sun's rays. Sometimes melanoma appears in someone in the middle of the back. This is also the result of a fear of sunburn or a conflict of unexpected harm from the back. When someone was strongly offended, they were hurt behind their backs. But the most common reason is the fear of the sun. People like to sunbathe, but once they are in the sun, they are all worried that the sun will not hurt them. To not cause melanoma. The most commonly used advertising clamp is a warning against sun exposure which causes melanoma. What does he do? Calling fear in man, and as long as he persists, there is a change in his body. The rise of melanoma, and then speak to the man, I warned you not to go out into the sun. However, no one will admit that this fear was caused by melanoma, not by the sun's rays. We must pay attention to our ancestors who over the decades or hundreds of years undergone sunburn. For example, my ancestors were working on vines. And none of them had melanoma, but they had freckles but not melanoma. So melanoma and said pigmentation are nothing but a sign of a surviving conflict associated with a feeling of distress.